Good morning, beautiful people. Hope that you had an amazing weekend. Again, America's 250th birthday was amazing. I think I partied a little too hard. Oh shit! What am I talking? Um, I'm gonna recap this video. I won't be with you guys long. I just wanted to recap Donald Trump's remarks at the celebration, the Salute to America celebration. Everything I shared is for educational purposes. It's a good day to be an American. If you guys didn't see it, I got you.
Independence.
Sorry. Let me leave it alone.
Good evening, America. If you think that was, it wasn't. And I want to thank everybody because they did the right thing. They saw lightning, and I said, there's no way if we have to speak in front of one person at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to be here. There's no way we can be deterred. And they estimated they had 375,000 people before everybody had to leave. And they now have 150,000 people. It's the craziest thing anyone's ever seen, at least. And I want to just thank you. And I feel so badly about some people. They left and they couldn't get back. But you're very special people. And we have a very special country. Thank you very much. Tonight we come together for one of the most joyous and glorious milestones of all time, and you know what that is, 250, the 250th anniversary. And I do have to say this. One of my very brilliant people backstage said, don't worry about it, sir. We can do it maybe next week. I said, it doesn't work next week. This is the big day. We want July 4th. We're not looking for July something else. Because this is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. Nothing like it. For 2.5 centuries, our American republic has stood as the crowning achievement of human history. This country is the home of freedom. This is the land of liberty. And this is a flag that's the banner of the most extraordinary, most exceptional, most incredible nation ever to exist on the face of the earth. And we're doing better now than we've ever done before. No people have done more good, shown more courage, made more progress, righted more injustice, or achieved more greatness than you, the American people. For 250 years, the United States of America has been the hope, the promise, the light, and the glory among all of the nations of the world. All over the world, they try and be like us. Nobody can be like us. And with God's help, we will always be this or even better. We're going to be better. Here in our National Mall, we're celebrating freedom's triumph over tyranny, liberty's conquest over oppression, and the enduring victory of the American spirit from the July 4th, 1776 to July 4th, 2026. Big dates. That's big dates. Two big ones. And tonight our country is stronger, freer, richer, safer, and prouder than ever before. But it all started with the miracle of history that lives forever in the heart of every single patriot. In Philadelphia, our founding fathers summoned the courage of giants and the wisdom of centuries to boldly proclaim these timeless truths. They declared that all men are created equal, that they are endowed with sacred, unalienable rights by the hand of our Creator, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In signing their names to the roster of freedom, those 56 patriots put everything at risk, stepped onto the stage of destiny, and seized a victory for the ages, and that's what it was. And this is an evening for the ages, I believe. This is something very special. This is bigger than if we didn't have the lightning blaring. We had lightning blaring, but this is bigger. Little more inconvenient, but it's bigger. I think in its own way, it's more beautiful. From the beginning, we were a nation that lived by the motto, victory or death, and live free or die. 1 out of every 100 Americans gave their lives in the fight for independence to remind us of who these heroes were and what they gave us. We are honored to have here tonight in the heart of our nation's capital one of the very first American flags ever to exist. Dating back to 1777, it bears the 13 stars and 13 stripes of the 13 states that declared independence on the 4th of July. There it is. This was the flag that flew victorious at Saratoga. And these are the real deals, too. These are the real flags. These are flags that have seen a lot. These were the stars and stripes that flew triumphant when the British waved the white flag of surrender at Yorktown. That was a big surrender. Nobody thought that was possible. They were the greatest power of the world, and they surrendered, and that was the beginning. Ever since, the entire world has been on notice that Americans will never let anyone take our freedom away. Won't happen. And all these talks from the communists, they haven't got a chance. Not even a chance. We don't want communists in our country. Never worked, and it never will work. Americans must never forget that we are a historic and heroic people with a heroic spirit and a heroic purpose on this beautiful earth of ours. We are made the courage and the fire and the flesh and the blood of the best and the bravest people this world has ever produced. We are the bravest and the best. Tonight we pledge allegiance to the flag they gave us, and we say, God bless the immortal patriots of 1776, and long live the cause of independence. May it reign forever and ever and ever. We will always be on top. We will never let our country fall. We will always be the best. Our founders not only won our liberty, they secured it with the most righteous political document ever conceived. It's called the Constitution of the United States. Very special. And it's because of their genius that we remain the finest people on the planet after 250 years. Unlike so many others in the world, in this country, we have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, equal justice under the law, although I wasn't treated that well, but we won't get into that. And the right to keep and bear arms. And for the almost 6 years that I was president, I guarded very, very powerfully your Second Amendment, and they didn't do a thing to it, and it was not easy. But we guard your Second Amendment. We guard it very, very strongly and cautiously. Across the generations, Americans have fought, bled, and died, not just to secure those, to expand them to citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed, because we are one people. We are one family. You showed that tonight with one flag. And as our Declaration of Independence tells us, we are all made in the image of one Almighty God. And the communists will sure. Few heroes remind us more than William Carney, who escaped slavery to become a Union soldier in the Civil War, which was a very big deal at the time. On the battle, he saw comrades struck down enemy fire while carrying the Stars and Stripes, and Sergeant Carney dove to the ground to keep the flag from touching the mud. He didn't want to have it touch the ground. He didn't want to have it touch the mud. He wanted it to be perfect. He raised it high above the field and was shot 4 times. They thought he was gone, but he kept moving forward. He loved our country. He loved our flag. Before he returned to camp and announced, "Boys, the old flag never touched the ground." And he became the first African-American to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor. He got the Congressional Medal of Honor, and he was the first African-American, and he was some man. He'd written stories about him. He was something special. With us tonight to celebrate this forward march of freedom is another Medal of Honor recipient, Colonel Paris Davis, whose courage won eternal glory in Vietnam. He helped lead a surprise attack on 100 enemy combatants. They said he was finished. His whole group was finished. And despite multiple life-threatening wounds, saved the lives of his fellow soldiers. And this evening, he stands to salute the only flag of its kind, the one that was draped over the casket of President Abraham Lincoln in Independence Hall. Thank you very much. Great. He looks better than I do. He looks great, and he's brave. Because of heroes like these, our flag will always be a symbol of liberty and justice for all. Colonel Davis, thank you very much. Great man. Great man. Thank you. Americans expanded the blessings of freedom, and we have never stopped expanding our ambitions and our dreams. We had the American dream. We never had the American dream, however, like we have it right now. The American dream is back, very strong, beautiful. You know, to get into our military now is tough. 2 years ago, we couldn't fill a job, and now it's overflowing. We have so many, setting records. We're setting records. It's actually hard to get in. That includes our great police forces and our firemen. They couldn't hire anybody. Nobody wanted to do it. Now it's hard to get those positions, but it's really hard to get into our military because people respect and love our country again. Our rise to being the world's strongest and most powerful nation was no accident of history. We rebuilt our military in my first term. We used it a little bit in our Actually, I should say third term, but I won't do that because I don't want any controversy. But we use it, and we've had tremendous success. You look at Venezuela, you look at Iran, we wiped out their military. Americans crossed the Great Plains, scaled the Rockies, we just tamed the wilderness and conquered the frontier and built the empire. It's called the Empire of Liberty. We laid down the railroads, raised up the skyscrapers, those beautiful skyscrapers, and dug out the Panama Canal, considered the eighth wonder of the world, which everyone said was an impossible thing to do. And by the way, 38,000 Americans died to give us one of the greatest engineering feats of all time, the Panama Canal. This was the unstoppable spirit that created the world's most powerful industries and built the strongest military anyone had ever seen. And today it is stronger and more powerful than it ever was before. American grit, boldness, and daring forged heroes like Davy Crockett, Wyatt Earp, Annie Oakley, Teddy Roosevelt, and the legend of the Wild West, Buffalo Bill Cody. These were great, powerful people whose incredible grandchildren happen to be with us tonight. And they stand alongside one of the first American flags ever to fly over our expanding nation. It was carried west just as Lewis and Clark began their journey in 1803. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Great to have you. Great to have you, to honor this audacious and indomitable soul of America. We also have the first flag ever to fly over one of the greatest architectural feats of all time, a thing called the Brooklyn Bridge, one of the most beautiful bridges anywhere in the world, built a long time ago. To its right, the banner that flew atop our flagship after America's Navy sank the Spanish fleet to the bottom of the Manila Bay, one of the greatest naval victories in history. Much like our recent victory by sinking the entire Iranian Navy, 159 ships, to the bottom of the sea, all done in just a moment's time, happened very quickly. We have the greatest military anywhere in the world. And next to it, we also have the flag that was given to that immortal, just a fantastic, immortal Rough Rider, the one and only. And I was at the museum the other day at its opening. Theodore Roosevelt, when he returned triumphant from Cuba, printed with the words, "Welcome home, Colonel Roosevelt." He was a victor of San Juan Hill. He was a great gentleman. Americans won the West and built the modern world because America is a nation of winners. And today our country is winning again, and we're winning like never before. America is back, and we want to keep America great, and we will do so by approving the Save America Act, which means all voters must show voter ID. All voters must provide a little thing called proof of citizenship. And there will be no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military deployment, or travel. And you won't have cheating on the elections anymore. It's very simple. Together, we are also reasserting the truth that American strength and power is not something to be ashamed of. It is something that we are very, very proud of. This country has been the greatest force for peace and justice on earth. In the last century, we defeated tyrants, demolished evil, and saved freedom again and again and again. Ken Schubring was 19 years old when he survived the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. After enemy planes sank ships like the USS Arizona, he resolved that he would help America strike back and win. He wanted them to strike back and win. Flying B-29s in the Pacific, Ken fought from the first day to the very last. He was in the war right from the first day and he went to the last day and all the way to the enemy's unconditional surrender. We got an unconditional surrender. He was there at 104 years old and looking really good. Captain Schubring is here tonight, and he is saluting the flag that went down with the Arizona at Pearl Harbor, but was raised back up with the help of some unbelievable American patriots. It's a symbol of American defiance, please. Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Captain. Great job. Thank you very much. You have very good genes. That's his son. His son's going to be around a long time. Thank you very much, Captain. On D-Day in World War II, Navy Lieutenant Arthur Rose commanded 36 landing craft as part of the largest naval armada in history. Recalling that sight, he wrote home to his parents, "What a country we are." At 107 years old, Lieutenant Rose is here to salute one of our nation's most prized possessions, the flag that flew aboard the first landing craft on D-Day and led the first Americans onto the beaches of Normandy to liberate Europe and defeat Nazi fascism forever. Lieutenant Rose, you are an inspiration to this beautiful crowd, and we thank you very much. Amazing man. 107. It's 107. On Iwo Jima in the Pacific, the Marines faced some of the most brutal combat in the history of warfare. They shed their blood for every inch of mountain that they reached. And when they reached the summit and raised the stars and stripes for all to see, it was so special to everybody there and everybody watching. They couldn't believe it. It wasn't supposed to happen. With us today is one of the last survivors of that battle, 101-year-old Marine Corporal Don Graves. And he's here to salute that famous flag he saw rise in the glory of Iwo Jima 81 years ago. And you've all seen that flag many times. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the fighters and the banners of the greatest generation. They are the greatest generation. I hate to admit that, but they are. They saved the world, and they made America very, very proud. We're very proud of you, heroes all. And after we vanquished fascism, Americans stood against the evil of communism in the Cold War. And as I said last night at the beautiful Mount Rushmore, what a beautiful place, where Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, and Theodore Roosevelt loomed over my shoulder as I spoke. America will never be a communist country. Won't happen. Communism is a loser, and it always will be. The communist system is the opposite of the American system, and the communist system has never worked. Our warriors did not fight communism on battlefields across the world, only to have that menace rear its ugly head right back here in America. We're not going to let it happen. We like to stop a threat like that immediately and before it begins. It's like a cancer. You got to cut it out. You got to cut it out fast. Tonight, we proudly thank veterans of the war on communism, including Marine Corporal Pat Finn and Private First Class Rudy Meekins, who fought at the famed Battle of Chosin Reservoir in Korea. That was a rough one. Thank you. Pat fought in hand-to-hand combat with the enemy. He had 5 against him, and he was 1. And as you can see, he's around to talk about it. And Rudy was wounded 4 times, but never stopped shooting, and he never stopped moving forward. And also with us is veteran Sonny Ray, who fought heroically against an enemy force 10 times his unit size and earned a tremendously deserved Silver Star. Tonight, they salute one of the very first 50-star flags to fly above the field of battle. This was about the beginning of the 50. And right next to it is one of the last flags from Checkpoint Charlie, very famous place on the Berlin Wall, where American freedom finally brought communism crashing down to an end. Thank you so much. You are really very special. Thank you. Thank you very much. The Stars and Stripes cast the hammer and sickle into oblivion before, and we will do it again if necessary. I don't think it's going to be necessary. I think people have learned. They've learned what to do and how to handle it, and we're going to handle it very well. So, gentlemen, I want to thank you very much. You're amazing people, amazing men. Thank you. How about that, huh? Isn't that great? What an honor it is to be with them. Think of it, 107. That's up there, but hopefully he's got 20 good years left. Through the generations, Americans have never stopped striving to lift humanity to new heights. In 1903, the Wright brothers from Ohio fulfilled the age-old dream of mankind to fly. That's right, they're from Ohio, great state. And within 66 years of inventing the airplane, Americans planted our flag on the moon. Just 3 months ago, we sent American astronauts back to the far side of the moon, and this time they flew further from Earth than anyone has ever flown before. And here they are. So tonight we're joined by that crew of NASA Artemis, you know the crew, everybody. Artemis 2, and everybody watched. Isn't that amazing? And they became very famous. Everybody watched. I was watching. I don't know what it was. That one got the attention of everybody. And along with the last man to walk on the moon, Apollo 17 astronaut Jack Schmitt. Thank you, Jack. You look like you could be with them, Jack. You look very good. You look very good, Jack. Thank you very much. What a job. Everybody was watching. I was with a group of people that normally wouldn't be watching, and we're having a big dinner, and they all said, we want to turn on, we want to watch Artemis 2. A lot of people said, what is that? By the end of the evening, they knew it was amazing. And along with Jared, where's Jared? He's so great. He's running NASA. What a job he's done. So I want to thank you all. Thank you very much. Great job. So these champions of flight stand this evening beside the flag flown on the Wright brothers airplane, piloted by Orville Wright. It's the exact flag, very historic, and they are honored to be here. They told me today they were really amazed to be here with that flag. That's a very special flag if you're in the world of flying aircraft. So congratulations to everybody. Fantastic job. Very proud of you. And I have a special gift for these patriots. This morning on America's 250th birthday, a new flag was flown above the United States Capitol. And tonight I present it to you to soon be planted by American astronauts on their upcoming return to the moon. And in addition to that, I gave them and all of the great heroes that you saw up on stage tonight and a few others that couldn't quite make the stage, I gave them a very special medal from the White House. So it's an honor. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it. So then I assume you're going to be heading to Mars. Right? We're going to be going to Mars very soon. And I think that's something that we do have in mind. And we're going to do the moon, and we're going to go from there. We're going to go to Mars, and we're going to continue to be way ahead. You know, we did Space Force. That was something I was very proud of. And some people smiled. They thought it was foolish. And now they're finding it's one of the most important things that we've done. We were losing to China and to Russia in space, and now we're leading them by giant steps. And it's a great thing. And it's people like that really, like you, that made it happen. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, Jeff. So as we celebrate America's unmatched achievements and unlimited potential, we never forget that none of this would have been possible without those who gave everything so that we could reach this 250th year of freedom. We are honored to be joined by 11 Gold Star family members. The Gold Star family, that is one of the great tributes. It's one of the great honors. A tough honor. There's nothing tougher than that.
Thank you for your super sticker, Claude. God bless America, right?
But these are amazing people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Come on up.
I love this stuff, you guys. What's wrong with you?
They went through a lot.
Thank you, Claude.
Thank you very much. And that special person is looking up there and looking down at mom and dad, husband, wife, but they're looking down with great pride. You know that. You know that. And we want to thank you for being here. Thank you very much. And we have medals for you backstage.
Happy Sunday.
I thought I'd be handing them out about 3 hours ago. But we're going to be backstage, and we have beautiful medals for you, for your family, from the White House. Thank you very much, everybody. We love you. On this special 4th of July, we give you our undying gratitude and promise to redeem the sacrifice of your heroes by preserving the America that they love. They loved our country. They sacrificed it all. And these people have sacrificed it all. They've been through hell. We love you. Thank you very much. Thank you. From 1776 to today, everywhere the American flag has flown, it has been a symbol of strength, righteousness, and hope, because that is who Americans are. In 1944, a mother and her daughter huddled in their house in Nazi-occupied Belgium and prayed desperately for their country to be freed. They wanted freed. As they waited, they found scraps of fabric and stitched together a homemade American flag. It's beautiful, but homemade. On the day they were finally liberated, and that's what the word is, liberated, they gave it to an American soldier as a gift. Little did they know that that soldier's great-grandfather was none other than the author of our Star-Spangled Banner, Francis Scott Key. And tonight, the next generation of the Key family is with us. Thank you very much. Please. Thank you. Major Kyle Key has spent 23 years in the U.S. Army, highly respected, and this evening he proudly salutes the old flag that was made by the Belgian woman so beautifully, and who knew that America means hope and freedom. Congratulations, and thank you for being here very much. And in conclusion, from a declaration in Philadelphia to victory at Yorktown. From the bustling factories of the heartland to the towering snow-capped summits of Alaska, from the endless frontier of the open Wild West to the magnificent sand dunes at Kitty Hawk, from the glimmering skyline of Manhattan to the far side of the moon, we just saw that, and from the now safe and beautiful capital of Washington. Think of it, Washington, D.C., our capital. Our capital is now safe, gleaming, and beautiful again. It's safe again. Went from a very unsafe place 2 years ago to one of the safest cities in the country and one of the most beautiful. To the gleaming waters of the Gulf of America. There is no challenge Americans cannot overcome. There is no place we cannot go. There is no goal we cannot reach, and there is nothing that Americans cannot do, and we're proving that right now. Our stock market is the strongest it's ever been. We have $19.2 trillion being invested in our country, which is 6 times more than ever happened before. We're building more factories in the United States than ever before. Everyone's 401ks are at the highest number they've ever been. And more people are working today in the United States than any time in the history of our country. But in this country, we can achieve the wildest and most impossible dreams. And no dream in history is bigger or more incredible than the one that started on July 4th, 1776. The war for independence was launched by Minutemen, farmers, blacksmiths, tradesmen, who took up their muskets against the mightiest army on earth, the most powerful army, an unbeatable army until they met us. No one made them do it. They fought because they knew that a free people must have a free country. Over 250 years, the mighty nations and terrible tyrants, they came and they went. But after they came and they went. But after 2.5 centuries, this American republic still stands tall and strong, and we love each other. That showed tonight. You heard it was over, and what happened? You came back. And this American flag still waves proud and free and beautiful. We have thrived and flourished because our founders were great. Our cause was just, our people are brave, our culture is exceptional, and our destiny is written by God. And as we can see here tonight, after 250 years, the spirit of 1776 still lives within us all. It still roars in the hearts of our nation's capital. It still burns in the heart of every patriot, thunders through every city and town, and it still lights the entire world with the glow of American liberty. And there is nothing like that. At 250 years old, we may be the oldest constitutional republic on earth, but our country is just getting started because the best is yet to come. This is only the dawn of the golden age of America. And on this 250th 4th of July, we declare, just as they did 2.5 centuries ago, that for our country and for our children and for the cause of liberty, we are going to take our country to new levels, to levels not reached. We're going to make it bigger, better, stronger, and we're going to love it even more. And I just want to thank you. And the inconvenience of lightning can do that, but lightning will never stop you. And I want to thank everybody, and we love you all. And it's an honor to be your president. Thank you. God bless you all. God bless you all. Thank you. We have a great fireworks display tonight. and I'm going to be watching it with you. It's going to start very quickly. So thank you very much. You're going to really like this. Thank you very much, everybody.
For copyright purposes, I have got to skip the ending. Damage, very dark, you say. Oh, I'll try to get to this stream. Did you guys like that? Oh. Okay. You guys have turned up the chat, but you're good. You're good. All right, you guys.
So it's going to be a long day, a long day. But let me start by saying, first of all, thank you for being here on this incredibly historic occasion. I have to give a shout out to Admiral Caudle and, of course, Acting Secretary Cal, two great Americans. Thank you for your leadership and for everything you've done to prepare us for this incredible celebration today. And I also, of course, got to give thank you, but also special greetings from the President of the United States for reviving this incredibly proud naval tradition as we celebrate 250 years of American daring and 250 years of American naval excellence. Today, we celebrate 250 years of America facing the future without fear. We celebrate 250 years of proving what a free people can achieve by the providence of our almighty Creator. I want to welcome the incredible sailors who are with us today, all the Marines, the Coasties, and countless others from all of our forces who serve our nation and do so proudly. And I especially want to thank and welcome our wounded warriors and Gold Star families, many of New York's finest police officers and bravest firefighters. And of course, we have a number of local leaders from across this tri-state area. I'm honored to welcome the dozens of Navy chiefs and other guests from other countries around the world who represent the vessels joining us in today's review. And to the Americans who are watching back home, we have over 50 countries from all over the world who chose to send fighters or naval vessels here to honor our country. And we say from the bottom of our hearts, we are grateful for our friends, grateful for our allies on this special anniversary. It is a very American thing to ring in 250 years of American history by parading our naval and Air Force might for the world to see. But I can't help but consider that 250 years ago, the waters of New York Harbor looked very, very different. While the Continental Congress met in Philadelphia to ratify the Declaration of Independence, General Washington was right here in Manhattan, peering out on this beautiful land and beautiful sea. His attention was fixed on the horizon, watching for sails of the most powerful navy on earth. 1 week before, the British had begun landing troops on Staten Island, and they had landed 32,000 in just over 6 weeks. One colonist still in the city recounted it seemed as if all of London was afloat and heading to the new nation. War was coming, and everyone knew it. By July of 1776, 80% of New York's population had emptied out in anticipation of the coming violence. And that brings us back to our great General Washington. He knew the battles to come would be bruising and would demand much of his men. But they needed to know, through hot summers and cold winters, exactly what they were being asked to fight for. And so, just a few days after the Declaration of Independence was signed, George Washington read aloud the words of the incredible Declaration. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Even today, 250 years to the day later, these words command a tremendous power over us as Americans. For 250 years, they have stirred our hearts and they've reminded us of who we are as a people. But to Washington soldiers, to the people to whom they were first read, think about this, they were entirely new. What has become standard American parlance, they had never heard those words before. And I think it's something striking to reflect on that in 2026, the Declaration was written with the assumption that its audience would immediately grasp its words. Though they had never heard it, they would know exactly what it meant. It wasn't written for historians. It wasn't written for academics. It wasn't written for the generations to come. It was written for the people of this fledgling country. It was written for the soldiers who would fight to turn those words into a new system of government. As a document, it does not handhold its readers. Its citizenship at a very hard level. It does not pause it doesn't explain to be self-evident. 250 years later, it's worth asking, self-evident to whom? If the Declaration proclaims truths the founders believed to all mankind, yes, but it says those truths in language intended to be familiar specifically to the American nation that it was authored to, authored by, and authored for. It was, as Jefferson put it later in his own life, an expression of the American mind. A document whose purpose wasn't, quote, to find out new principles or new arguments, but to place before mankind the common sense of the subject, the common sense of the American people. That people had been generations in the making. 1776 was not an accident. The patriots of that era understood themselves to be heirs to an older civilization who would carry it forward. Now, they shared with Great Britain the same language, the same God, the same system of common law. They even read many of the same books and observed many of the same customs. They shared the same understanding of justice and public life. George Washington's boyhood offers a small but revealing example. When he was 13 years old, he copied down more than 100 entries from a tiny little book called The Rules of Civility and Decent Behavior. It was not an American work, but it was first published in London more than a century before George Washington was born. Yet the America that formed Washington demanded qualities that no book, no manual could teach. Before General Washington commanded an army, he spent his 20s surveying America's wild interior, saving up money, learning self-reliance on a continent that rewarded initiative more than pedigree. It didn't care if you were a nobleman, it cared what you could do. Now, our society at the time reinforced the habits Washington learned in the wilderness. Frontier life rewarded resourcefulness, while America's colonial assemblies taught citizens to govern their own affairs. It taught citizens to be self-governing human beings. Churches at the time, especially those who were touched by the Great Awakening, reminded congregants that no earthly hierarchy outweighed the equal dignity of every human soul before its creator. All of that came together. And so it was no surprise that when Washington's soldiers first heard the Declaration 250 years ago, they understood precisely what it meant. They understood the meaning that was conveyed. It was seismic, but it was their birthright as citizens of this new republic. The words might have been new, but they expressed a feeling, something that already lived in the heart of every single American patriot. And I believe those words still live in the heart of every single American patriot today. And for 7 long years, they fought for that birthright. It wasn't easy. On some days, it was hotter even than it was today, as hard as that is to believe. Many suffered and died for that dream and died for those principles. But by the grace of Almighty God, they secured for us a free, a proud, and an independent republic that endures, and doesn't just endure, but thrives to this very day. As Washington traded in the uniform for the presidency, he remained preoccupied with the physical land that had shaped him. He imagined wagons crossing mountains, paths out of the Alleghenies and the Appalachians, and canals connecting the Potomac and the Ohio River to its western valleys. Our first president would not live long enough to see that vision of a continent connected. He would not live to see it to completion. But the rivers he surveyed in his youth carried on westward without him. They carried settlers and new riches and cities waiting to be built. And eventually, they carried a 13-year-old boy by the name of James Buchanan Eads. In the fall of 1833, Eads and his family, like many Americans, moved west to the nation's growing frontier, the land of opportunity. And as their steamboat approached St. Louis, its boiler exploded, throwing him into the turbulent waters of the Mississippi. The family lost everything, every earthly possession, and the river nearly killed young Eads. From that moment on, he vowed not to be a slave to that mighty river, but to make it his own. He received no formal education, but to support his family, he sold apples on the St. Louis riverfront, captivated by the bustle and frontier of boomtown St. Louis. At 16, he took a job on the water, and not long after, he conceived of an idea that most engineers at the time, they thought it was crazy. They thought it was insane. You know, sunken ships and other treasures lay scattered along the bottom of the Mississippi. No business in the world existed to salvage them, to take that buried treasure on the bottom of the mighty Mississippi and bring it to work for people. Unlike the more peaceful streams out east, the river's strong currents and turbid waters, most insisted that ordinary diving in the mighty Mississippi was impossible. You could not do what Eads proposed that we do. But he disagreed. And so he did what every American does when they're told they can't do something. He went out and did it anyway, and he did it himself. He bought a 40-gallon whiskey barrel, fixed it to a diving bell, and climbed in, and down he went all by himself. The riverbed was pitch black, the current pulling his feet every which way. Sand swirled around him like a dense snowstorm, he later recalled. But he located his target, a large hunk of lead, tied on the cable, and came back to the surface. Eads went on to become one of the nation's greatest civil engineers. He built the very first bridge spanning the Mississippi River south of its confluence with the Missouri. An impressive feat for a man who'd never built a bridge before. The people who told him, you can't build the most difficult bridge because you've never built a bridge before, he said, yes, I can, because I'm an American and I'm going to do it myself. It was the first on the planet, that bridge, to be made of steel. And residents of St. Louis still use that bridge to this very day, nearly 200 years later. That is American ingenuity and American greatness. At the river's mouth in Louisiana, Eads raised jetties that helped calm its violent flooding to prevent the buildup of silt. And by doing so, he transformed New Orleans from the 9th largest port in the United States to the 2nd most powerful port in the world, rivaling only the city that stands behind us. But Eads had already faced a still greater test, because as the Civil War broke out, the government summoned him to Washington for his help building the ironclads which the United States Navy would seize the Mississippi with. It was no matter that Eads had never built a gunboat in his life. He had never built a gunboat ever. Instead, he completed 700 of them in 100 days. It's unbelievable. The river ships that Eads built were so strong that the Navy deployed them into the ocean to secure the Gulf. They served their purpose. They defended the Mississippi, and in doing so, they helped preserve our Union. And so it kept growing. And of course, the American frontier made way to farms and factories stretching further and further west. River towns became great cities. Railroads reached the Pacific. Steel mills rose
Thank you for the gifty, Sue. I see you. Thank you.
where once wilderness had stood. The American mind widened, and the Republican whose independence Washington won, that James Eads had helped sew together, grew into the most powerful industrial powerhouse in the history of humanity. For other nations, growing industry brought dispossession before it did prosperity. In the old world, the one our ancestors had left behind, the Industrial Revolution threw society into chaos. And into that chaos rushed vacuums and ideologies that answered the dignity of man with labor camps and killing fields. Where the old world led to communism and fascism, the Americans recognized that at root, they were a denial of everything that Washington and Jefferson had read to his men 250 years ago. The free world needed to win, but in order for the free world to beat communism and fascism, it had to outproduce them. And as in every conflict before, America looked to her sailors for help and to the builders who made sure those sailors had the very best ships to sail on. Among them was a man that we know as Henry Kaiser. Like Eads, Kaiser had grown up with very little. The son of German immigrants, he dropped out of school at 13 to work the stockroom at a dry goods store in Utica, making $1.50 a week and commuting 4 miles each way on foot. Eventually, he moved to Spokane for better job opportunities, setting his sights on starting his own company. Now, he walked into a bank with no business, no workforce, and no history, just a single proposed contract and what the banker would later describe as sheer audacity. He walked out with a $25,000 loan. And with his workers, he erected the Hoover Dam and hundreds of miles of highway across the West. Everywhere he went, he organized ordinary Americans to build extraordinary things. And everywhere he went, he believed their welfare and the welfare of the enterprise that he was building went hand in hand. Kaiser pioneered health coverage at his construction sites. That's why we know the name of Kaiser. because he understood that men working in dangerous conditions, they deserve to see a doctor. He saw his workers as partners, and he walked the walk long before it was fashionable to do so. Where some say that America's story is one of the dispossessed struggling against the powerful, Kaiser shows that America's greatness is built by cooperation between all of our citizens from every single walk of American life. Now, that cooperation was important, but it became profoundly important the day after Pearl Harbor. The United States Navy at the time needed ships bigger and better and faster than anyone thought they could be built. We didn't have the biggest Navy in the world, but we needed one, and we needed one fast. So Kaiser did what Americans always do when confronted with the impossible. He put it on his shoulders and said, let's go do it. Kaiser had never made a ship in his life, but that wasn't going to stop him. First, he built shipyards all up and down the Pacific coast. Then he filled them with American workers, 250,000 of them. Farm boys from Iowa, miners from Appalachia, mothers from Detroit who had never held a welding torch. Together, they launched nearly 15,000 Liberty ships, vessels that carried American cargo and sailors across 2 oceans. His Richmond yard built one of them, the SS Robert E. Peary, in an astonishing 4 days and 15 hours. The shipbuilders Kaiser hired, they weren't just a means to an end, they were his partners. Kaiser looked at his workers and saw people, Americans who got sick, who had families to raise, who showed up in Richmond and Portland with little more than a hat in their hand, but who had amazing potential. He saw the potential of normal Americans when unshackled from destitution. And he saw them not just as mouths to feed or as workers to pay. He saw them as fellow citizens who could build amazing things. So he built housing near these shipyards and nursery schools to help mothers join the war effort. He extended the health plan he had started at his dams to every worker at every yard, opening it to the public after the U.S. won World War II. And though separated by generations, I tell the story of these 3 men because Kaiser and Eads and Washington, they were exactly the kind of men that Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence for. Kaiser was an American. He looked at what needed doing and he did it, and he trusted the men and women around them to do the same, knowing that he could only do his job if they did theirs too. Our Declaration of Independence may have spoken to universal human truths and broadly shared human desires. Of course it does. But it was a document written by and for a particular kind of people, the American people. From General Washington to James Buchanan Eads, from Henry Kaiser, one of America's great shipbuilders, to the sailors standing here today. And by the way, what you folks watching at home on TV may not realize is that everything that you saw, everything that you see today was destroyed last night in a storm, but these great sailors rebuilt it in 12 hours so that you all could be here, so that we could have this amazing procession, and so we could celebrate our 250th birthday in style. All of us, connected through the generations, rich and poor of every job, we are a people formed by generations of self-governance and personal industry. We are formed by Frontier Assembly Hall and congregation, by River Valley and prairie and factory floor. We are formed by the conviction that we are bound to one another, not only by bloodline nor creed alone, but by a common character, a shared fate, a shared future. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to address what we will hear from some loud voices today, because as much as all of us, whether we're Democrat or Republican, whatever our political persuasion, all of us are celebrating. But you will hear a couple small but loud voices today speak obsessively not of our national greatness, but of our national imperfections. They will speak of the powerless and the dispossessed. They will tell you that America is just another country where the weak struggle against the strong. And if they acknowledge that there is anything to be proud of in our history, they'll say it's the fact that sometimes the powerless have won a zero-sum battle. They're wrong. They'll talk about America's sins with the anger and zeal of a brimstone preacher, but without any of the grace or forgiveness that must be present in the Christian faith. These people misunderstand the essence of America, from Thomas Jefferson to Henry Kaiser. They misunderstand that we all have moments of great power despite those very real imperfections. That there are victims and heroes who live inside of each of us, from the most ambitious leaders and builders to steel welders like my grandfather. People who had their own role to play in turning this dangerous wilderness into the proudest civilization in history. So what I'd ask you to do, my fellow Americans, on our 250th birthday, is to reject the two-dimensional view of your fellow citizens and reject the two-dimensional view of your country. Reject that America is a place for zero-sum thinking, because it is not. Our history is one of people carving a great civilization out of the wilderness. Reject the view of your nation that sees only its sins, but not its grace and its greatness. Everything that we have done as a country, we have done together. Not as citizens divided against each other, but as a common people working towards a common future. When we won our independence, we were led by General Washington to liberty and greatness, but marching ahead of him were thousands of boys from all over the new nation who gave Washington's military genius its foundation and its firepower. When we saved the world in World War II from tyranny in the 20th century, of course we needed great military leadership and tactical genius from our generals, but we also needed Rosie the Riveter, Iowa farm girls who built the machinery of war, and the sweethearts they sent to a world away to storm the beaches at Normandy. When we went to the moon, of course, our great astronauts flew the rockets, and our great men of science and engineering built them. But there were clerks and janitors and welders like my grandfather who each played their distinctive American part. All of us have a part. All of us had our part, our role to play in creating 250 years of a proud American story. And all of us will need to do our part to create the next 250 years of American greatness. So I say to all my fellow Americans, I'm proud of you. Happy birthday, and happy birthday to our great nation. Today, my friends, we celebrate, and tomorrow we get back to work. God bless you. Thank you for having me.
Hello, Detroit auto worker, let me thank you for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
I love that stuff. Okay, you guys. Mm.
In all the chronicles of the ages, never before has any nation celebrated so magnificent a triumph as this one. We are the freest people on earth. And by the grace of God, the United States of America is the most successful, most accomplished, most exceptional nation ever to exist in human history. Liberty has prevailed here because of the culture and character of the people who declared it, defended it, and preserved it. We reach a milestone like no other. Celebrate with joyful hearts and soaring spirits, because after 2.5 centuries, we know that this is not an ending. This is only the beginning of the golden age of America. Happy Independence Day to all. God bless you all. God bless you all.
I don't know what happened to my. Looks like my internet's glitching. I don't know what the hell. Sorry, guys. Can y'all still, when you can't see me anymore? I don't know what happened. It just disappeared. All right. Let's see if I can squeeze in one more before my computer gives out. I don't know what happened, you guys. I'm sorry. Right, Anthony? God bless America. Oh, it seems like my. Okay, let's see.
Today, America wakes. 250 years later, as a light for those seeking hope. A republic entrusted to its people. An idea that changed the world. A nation worth preserving. A dream worth pursuing. Freedom defended by every generation. The story continues. With this dawn, the next chapter begins.
That our own Brett Baer is on the line to give us an update of what he's seeing on the ground there.
Oh, and he's on camera.
He's on camera and he's taking
better.
shelter. Brett, tell us what you're seeing there.
Yeah, the miracle of getting up this remote shot, but we evacuated essentially for safety according to Secret Service. We were in this giant metal structure where our set was, and they brought us over to basically a trailer, and we walk in here, and we are in a trailer with World War II veterans. So we have spent the last 30 minutes or so talking to World War II veterans. This gentleman over here, 107 years old, right there. He served in the Navy, heard his stories. We talked to a bunch of World War II vets for their service. Sir, where did you serve?
In Europe.
Europe. Where, sir?
As the tank destroyer gunner in France, Holland, the Battle of the Bulge, and Germany.
How about that? Can I ask you, sir, how old you are?
I'm only 103.
You're only 103. You're 103 young.
How about that?
What's the secret? What's the secret?
Well, I was one of 13 children. We're number 6. There were 7 girls and 6 boys, and I had the best parents I could have, and they taught me how to live.
That's awesome. What about when you say to people, America 250, what it means to you today? What it means to you?
Oh, it means that we just come through so many toughs, like civil wars and things like that, to correct things the way we wanted it. We got it. We got it. And today I'm just so happy with this meeting because all the people that are prepared to be free and to be, and to love America. I love that. That's
And, the reason we have that freedom is because of people like you, sir. Thank you for your service. Thank you. You're going to be recognized on stage when this thing starts over again.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. So, there you go. This is what it's all about. Eris Faulkner, come on in here. So
Microphone.
This is our microphone right
we
here.
got one. There we go.
How cool is this?
Oh, this is amazing. There are veterans from World War II and III. One of them was 103, and he said, and this young man, and that young man was 107. And I had fantastic conversations, not just about service, but what this day means to them. They are so proud that we are celebrating the 250th. Remember, these are people who were around when the country was not just 200, but even previous to that. So it's amazing to hear how proud they are about all of us going forward.
And so Gary Sinise is over here. He's over here. He's got that wonderful veterans operation, and he's going to come over here. Listen, we lucked out. We ended up in a trailer with all of these amazing people, and we hope this program gets going. We think it will. The weather's expected to clear, but we're waiting on official word. Gary, come on in here. We're live right now. Listen, we just popped into this trailer for safety from the weather and then ran into these amazing people.
We got World War II veterans here. And many of these veterans we've taken down to the National World War II Museum. My foundation has a program called Storing Valor. And I'm meeting a bunch of them, and they're all thanking me for going down to the museum.
We've been asking people, including these veterans, what America 250 means to them. What does it mean to you?
Survival. The country has survived 250 years of ups and downs and triumphs and difficulties and challenges, and it's going to survive another 250 years. It's a great country, and we have a lot to be thankful for.
We talked earlier on set before we had to evacuate about how resilient the country is. And despite being divided politically, partisan-wise, there is this shared moment. And it is a day like this.
Well, these aren't the only times that we've been divided. The country's gone through. You've written a lot of books about a lot of this. We get through those things. That's why the country survives, and that's why the country is strong. I know this guy. Oh my God! They let everybody in here.
Lieutenant Dan Band, come on, we want you to play. What's with the rain? Did you bring rain with you or what?
I'm sorry about it. Yeah, I'm going back to Florida.
The free state of Florida.
I was saying to Gary how cool it was that we ended up in this trailer with World War II vets.
I know.
And Gary.
And I saw Michael W. here. I got to talk to him and catch up with him. And, these guys are, he's done so much. You've been amazing.
We're doing
still doing it.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of good things. My foundation is really very, very busy. We've got a lot of programs going on for our families of our fallen heroes, our World War II veterans. A lot of these veterans have been on our trips. I was just telling Brett, we take them down to the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. A bunch of them have been on those trips, and it's nice to see them again.
There are fewer and fewer of them year after year, obviously, and it's just really special to acknowledge them.
Yeah, acknowledge them and give something back to them. We have this short little window. We started taking them down to the museum well over 10 years ago, and we used to have trips on charter airplanes with American Airlines where there'd be 50 veterans veterans on a charter. And now we had to kind of close the program down because it was getting harder and harder for them to travel. But we still send them down on individual trips if they can, and they just deserve it. We want them to know how much we appreciate them and what they did all those years ago.
If somebody wants to help you, what do they want to? What do they do? If somebody wants to donate right now or help your cause, what do they do?
They would go to GarySineweFoundation.org. We have multiple programs on multiple fronts, doing all kinds of things there. There's many different ways that you can support the men and women that serve our country, their families, our first responders, all of that. Just go to GarySineweFoundation.org and see a lot of great videos and look at the program page.
I'm hoping he gets on air tonight. I want to see him on stage.
I know.
Well, we'll see.
You know, Mother Nature. We'll see. I think it's going to pass, don't you?
I just when I look, it's going to pass. I hope. You know, I keep getting complete. I'm looking at every satellite image I can get my hands on. I can't figure it out, which means I'm not a weatherman.
Well, we're ready either way. And Gary, thanks a lot.
Gary,
We'll raise a lot
thanks
of
for
money.
you guys. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Good to see you.
We'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Great. We were on live TV.
Wow.
No idea.
Unbelievable, Brad. That's so cool. I mean, like, what you got everybody there. That's really great.
It looks like a party.
Yeah,
Let's
it
just be
does.
honest.
Yeah.
It's like when, you know, a little bit actually, like remember after the White House Correspondents' Dinner,
Yeah.
once all the panic settled, everybody was sort of socializing. And in this case here, thankfully, it's just a rainstorm. And some bad weather, but they got pulled into the perfect trailer, and they're just making the best of it.
Socializing with 103-year-old war veterans.
War veteran,
Yeah, I
a
can't think of any-
tanker.
I
So
can't
where
think of
were you?
anything
Like I was in France and Germany and all over the place.
And
really.
Brett asking him, "What's the secret to your longevity?" And he said, "It's my parents. I had the best parents, and they taught me how to live," which was a great answer.
All right, thanks for watching. Check out my new podcast, Hanging Out with me, Sean Hannity. The big.
Did you guys like that? I don't know. Oh, good morning to you guys. I know it's early. I won't keep you guys too much longer, though. Okay.
Recent anniversary, we see our American identity under a renewed attack. A generation after we fought and won the Cold War against the menace of communism, there is now a resurgence of the communist menace in our land. Communism is a mortal threat to American liberty. It is the greatest threat to our country. We're not going to let this happen to us. Believe me, we're not letting it happen. Because communism is the enemy of free people everywhere. After 250 years, American freedom still rings. The American dream still lives, and the American flag still flies more proudly than ever before. After 2.5 centuries, we know that this is not an ending. This is only the beginning of the golden age of America.
It's a great speech. President Trump with a stark warning against communism because we've been watching what's happening in these elections. And he mentioned it yesterday at Mount Rushmore.
Well, here to discuss is New York Congressman Mike Lawler. He did a great job on the Hill the other day, standing up for Sheridan Gorman's family. Thank you so much. What do you make of this? We heard the president last night saying communism will never happen, but you live in New York. You saw what happened last week when these 3 socialists were elected in the primary.
And America hating and Israel hating.
Yes.
No question. And it wasn't just the 3 congressional races, it was state legislative. Yes. They won over 6 state legislative seats. You know, I look right here with the Statue of Liberty in the background. That's where I proposed to my wife, an immigrant from Eastern Europe. She escaped the Soviet Union, communism, came here in search of a better life by herself. And I think of Zohran Mamdani, who I served with in the state assembly. A Ugandan-born immigrant who came to the United States of America and is now the mayor of the financial capital of the world. And instead of embracing the fact that only in America could that happen, that a Ugandan-born immigrant could become the mayor of the largest city in America, instead of embracing that, he talked down about America. He degraded America, sitting behind George Washington's desk and basically embracing socialism. And, you know, frankly, I think really desecrating America's 250th anniversary in a way that our founding fathers certainly would never have envisioned when engaging and embarking on this experiment.
Can we
of
just play
freedom and
some of the
democracy.
sound, Congressman, real quickly, of what he said? He talked about us being a contradiction. Here he is.
As we mark 250 years, what do we see? We see a city of contradictions within a nation of contradictions. We see the wealthiest country in the history of the world, one where children go to sleep hungry, while the world's first trillionaire hungers for more. We see a nation whose immense wealth has been built by those with calloused, dirt-streaked hands, those who toil on factory floors and chisel into stone. And we see a nation that has allowed so much of that wealth to be held instead in the soft hands of a precious few.
We're the most giving nation. What is he talking about?
It's truly mind-boggling. America has done more to ensure freedom and opportunity and prosperity for everyone, not just here in our country, but around the world. When you think back to the Revolutionary War, to the Civil War, to World War II, and what American blood and treasure did to ensure freedom, it's truly mind-boggling to listen to that speech from the mayor of New York City, and especially 25 years after 9/11. You think of Rudy Giuliani at ground zero, America under attack. Zohran Mamdani embraces people like Hassan Piker and, you know, these socialists that win election that are saying America is at fault for 9/11. It's crazy.
Yeah. How about this? America, they will tell you, belongs only to those with the right accent or right shade of skin. Screw you. I mean, what kind of attitude is this? So what kind of message? And he thinks that will resonate with the people that put him in office. Sadly, he might be right.
For some, the politics of envy and jealousy are rising. But I fundamentally believe in the goodness of America and the American people, and they will reject this soundly in November in the midterms. But more broadly, as we move forward and embark on our next 250 years, this is the greatest country on the face of the earth. And no matter our differences, no matter the politics of the moment, the fact is we should all be grateful for living in the United States of America.
Well said, Congressman, and good luck in your election. I know every time you run is tough.
It is. It'll be a fight, but we'll win.
All right. Congressman Mike Lawler.
Great to see you. Thank you.
Congressman.
Be sure to like.
You guys have my mods working too hard in the chat. Chill. All right, you guys.
To discuss her uncle's legacy and what it taught us about the American dream. Happy Independence Day. Happy 250th. You know, it's remarkable to see these scenes on the National Mall.
Thank you,
can't help but think about your uncle's historic moment on that mall. Why is it so important for us to celebrate things like this at this spot?
My uncle, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., once said, I have a dream. It's rooted in the American dream. I'm so glad to speak to the three of you and the whole listening audience, perhaps all over the world. All of this started for me at the Rose Garden with President Trump a little earlier in the week. Secretary Brooke Rollins was there, other cabinet members, some fabulous farmers, and everybody was so excited. And every day moving into today, even this morning at America First Policy Institute, huge, wonderful opportunity to pray and celebrate this nation, praying for the administration and the president. So everywhere people are so excited. As a matter of fact, I got a preview of the flyover right outside my hotel yesterday.
Wow.
And everybody kept running out saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. And so the American dream, people still have hope. My uncle also said, we may have come over on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. We're one blood.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, womb to
That's
the
true.
tomb. Everybody, it's so exciting. And everybody is thanking God. President Trump, it's amazing. Again, it's world record, probably with those fireworks. I'm just really, and I'm an old lady. I'm 75 years old, but I'm so excited. I don't know what to do.
Well, Alveda, you talked about getting a preview to the air show. We've been showing our viewers right now the world famous Air Force Thunderbirds are doing high energy performance precision maneuvers. It's quite amazing. But your uncle has a monument right there along the mall. He's looking up, watching the celebration, seeing these flyovers. What would he say today on America's 250th?
I believe that he would encourage all Americans and people around the world, with America First leading the way, to pray, to have hope, to repent, to love, forgive. And I believe he would commend President Trump and this administration, even down to how beautiful Washington, D.C. is right now, how clean it is. People can walk around safely. He would say, fear not, embrace each other, see each other, touch each other. He really did have a dream rooted in the American dream, which is for everyone from the womb to the tomb, beyond, as one human race. I think he would remind us of that.
Well, Alveda, it's about the pursuit of life, liberty. It's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And no one has pursued the fight for life more than you. And we're so grateful for you joining us on this show and in such an important day, 250 years. Thank you, Alveda.
You keep the dream alive. Thank you,
Alveda.
Great to see you.
All right.
All right, still.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno.
Taylor, she is at Fort Campbell celebrating America 250 with our wonderful military families. Brooke.
Hi, Rachel. Yeah, you talk about the military and the importance of sacrifice. What better place to be than here at Fort Campbell, filled with families, service members, their young children, veterans, you name it. They're all here to celebrate America's birthday. We have this massive carnival here. I mean, all types of food. You have funnel cakes you're looking at, cotton candy, smash burgers, turkey legs. I mean, I'm hungry even saying this to you. So people here, they could have whatever they want. This is going to be my dinner later tonight. I mean, Fort Campbell's also just the history here. It is so iconic. Some of the best soldiers based out of here, and it is the Army's only air assault division. Standing here with one woman whose husband served, so you know what it means more than anyone. Talk to me about what the importance of today means to you and your family.
You know, it's just so amazing to be able to celebrate America's 250th birthday. I woke up extremely excited today because this is such a monumental moment. It's just so amazing to be able to celebrate the previous generations, but also just come together and celebrate our freedoms today.
And we have to shout out the hat, put it on my husband's tab. That is great. Speaking of your husband, what makes you most proud of him and his service?
Everything. There's not one particular thing. My husband is actually 5th generation military, so his family and himself, they've been serving in the military almost since the beginning of time, it seems, you know. And so I'm extremely proud of him. We're a part of the 5th Special Forces Group, and so it's just so amazing everything that he's done. You know, the service that he's had to his country and his family as well. So I'm grateful.
And we've been talking a lot about the younger generation. This is your son. What message do you instill in him from you and your husband based on freedom and sacrifice?
Exactly what you just said, freedom and sacrifice. So my son, our son Jaden, he's actually he goes to Clarksville High School, and he's a part of JROTC. And so that was a non-negotiable with him, you know, going into high school, you know, just to kind of go ahead and get that camaraderie going, you know, be proud to serve your country and all of the liberties that come along with that as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to your family and your husband for his service. That is the message out here from people we've been talking to, just proud to be here. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you, Brooke.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now.
Are you guys feeling patriotic? Loving our country? That was the ideal today, but I don't know if it's working.
Pull this up and take this live.
Bring their canopies
Wait,
together.
California,
This is
so-
called two-stack. It serves as the building block for all of their larger formations.
I wanted to show this one in Coronado.
Now, the jumpers in the leapfrog come to the team after years of real-world operational experience. Their mission here at Navy Parachute Team is to temporarily exit the shadows in order to showcase the teamwork, precision, and excellence of naval special warfare community. To inspire the next generation of American warfighters, following their 3-year commitment here, they return to their operational units. Now, while parachute demonstrations like these are inherently dangerous, the team mitigates the risk through meticulous planning, rigorous training and rehearsals, teamwork, and a relentless dedication to mastery in naval special warfare. Their lives and the lives of their teammates depend on this. Ready? Well, ladies and gentlemen, now that the Golden Knights have completed their jump, we're going to hand it back to Private First Class Nate Hilsendigger for more about your United States Army Golden Knights.
Okay, guys, we'll end on this last video. Hang on. So that way I can lay it down tonight. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. This just came in. I haven't seen this one. I thought it was interesting. I'm going to watch it with you guys. I haven't seen it, so it literally came in 4 minutes ago, and I want to watch it with you guys and then go to bed. But the title intrigued me of this video. Title, Iranian Army Chief Issues Threat to the United States. What? So,
I do want to get you right back into some of the big stories that we are covering on this Sunday. And this is coming in from Iran International English as an apparent threat from the chief of the Iranian army as funeral services continue for the former supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, who died during the U.S. and Israeli joint strikes earlier on this year. It says Iranian army chief said on Sunday on the sidelines of Ali Khamenei's burial ceremony that he had told Supreme Leader Mashtaba Khamenei that those behind the killing of the former Supreme Leader would not be left alone. It does not sound as though the comments went on, but again, that is a post from Iran International English. Now, at the same time, the New York Post saying that 3 sons of Khamenei appeared at the funeral, but the new Supreme Leader, Mashtaba Khamenei, is still absent, not showing up. So that's leading to a lot more speculation like we saw over the past several months. Right now, I want to discuss all of this here, the significance, what it all means. Let's bring in John Hanna, the former National Security Advisor to former Vice President Dick Cheney. He is now with JINSA. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us on this Sunday, John.
Well, thanks for having me, Josh. Great to be with you, and a belated happy 4th.
Happy 4th. And first off, I wanted to start by talking to you about what we've learned here. The fact that Mashtaba Khamenei did not show up or has not shown up to his father's funeral. But before that, some of the comments that were made by Iran's chief of the army, it sounded as though that was pretty much a threat against the U.S.
Oh, yeah, and this is no question about it, Josh. The Iranians, and I imagine if the Supreme Leader is in fact alive and well, he lost his father, he lost other family members, perhaps his wife. So revenge is no doubt very much on their minds. I remind everybody that it's been years already that for the killing of the former IRGC Quds Force commander Qasem Soleimani in 2021, that there are still a number of U.S. officials from the first Trump administration that have got death threats over their heads and continue to maintain their own security details for fear of possible Iranian assassination attempts. So this is very real, and I imagine we'll be living with it for some time.
And it's important to note, because I touched on this off the top and you touched on it a little there, but Mashtaba Khamenei has not been seen since his father was killed in that strike. There were reports from U.S. officials, different media outlets speaking with sources that Mashtaba had been tremendously disfigured or maybe even killed in the strike. It's all unclear. Now, what's important to note is he has not been seen. And on the same note, at this point, we don't actually know if he's alive. We haven't heard from him. So what do you make of that overall? Is that any surprise to not hear or see the new leader?
Well, it is surprising. I think a lot of us who, expected that he would show up for some part of this funeral procession, even if somewhat disfigured, to declare himself to have been kind of a living martyr for the cause, who has suffered terribly as a result of this American-Israeli war. The fact that he hasn't, I think, will only pour fuel on this fire of where is Mashtaba? Is he alive? What's happened to him? Of course, as we've even heard in recent days about possible ongoing Israeli attempts to assassinate major Iranian regime figures, even while ceasefire negotiations were going on, possibly, there are real security concerns that these senior Iranian officials are operating under. But it does seem to strain credulity that we haven't even heard his voice, that they haven't been able to sneak out a tape recording of Mashtaba to verify some kind of proof of life. So it's a huge mystery. Hopefully, between the U.S. and other Western intelligence services, we can get a beat on: is he operating? Is he alive? Is he operating? Is he issuing orders? Who's really in charge of that system right now at this incredibly sensitive time while these major negotiations are going on?
And what you're looking at, normally we wouldn't show this, but this is some of the video that's coming in out of Iran as that days-long funeral service is underway for Ali Khamenei months after his death there. And you can see the crowds that have shown up. We're talking dozens upon dozens, hundreds upon hundreds of people that have flooded the streets. There's been threats that have been issued, not just from the Iranian army chief, but also we've heard from different folks out there, protesters, demonstrators, who have said essentially some very nasty things about President Trump and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. As you look at this crowd here that's gathered in the street, what does that tell you, if anything?
I'm not sure how much it exactly tells me, Josh, about if we're talking about what's the level of real support for this Iranian regime amongst this population. Remember, this is a huge country approaching 100 million people at some point in the not too distant future. So if they're able to put 5, 10, 15 million people on the street of their supporters, that probably does match up with what most Western analysts have thought in recent years, that the regime probably maintains anywhere from 15 to 20% hardcore support of the population, while 80% is at some level of real deep disaffection with the regime's inability to actually deliver and improve on their lives and actually advance Iranian national interests, as opposed to this distorted ideological project they've been pursuing for almost 47 years to destroy Israel, evict the United States from the region, spend billions of dollars on this nuclear program that's been badly set back, and of course, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars on these foreign proxies that they use to surround Israel, rather than spending it on the welfare of the suffering Iranian people.
During one of his America 250 speeches just a couple days ago, President Trump made it clear, essentially saying that the U.S. is pausing any kind of strikes there. During Khamenei's funeral, they're going to leave them with a week of no strikes, no action taking place, saying that they're going to be nice about it. So my question for you, is there any strategic reasoning behind that you could see as you're hearing those comments from President Trump?
Yeah, what I draw from it is the president is not eager to return to major combat operations. His focus right now is on the midterms, on the U.S. and the global economy, and in trying to get as much oil as possible out of the Strait of Hormuz in order to stabilize the international economy, and also that he wants to try and achieve that through some kind of negotiation and trying to create an atmosphere in which those negotiations, first and foremost on stabilizing Hormuz, stabilizing the situation in Lebanon between Israel and Hezbollah, but then eventually getting to the ultimate talks that these negotiations are supposed to be about, which is the final disposition of this, still existent and threatening Iranian nuclear program. Again, those negotiations haven't even yet really begun, and we're well past 2 weeks into this ceasefire now.
On that note, do you see a deal? We have this memorandum of understanding, but it's questionable as to who's signed it, what happens next. Do you see a world where in the coming days, weeks, maybe even months, we do have some kind of, let's call it a deal between the U.S. and Iran? Is that something that is actually obtainable?
In theory, it's attainable. Obviously, 10, 11 years ago, we had the JCPOA nuclear deal under the Obama administration. So this is possible, but I would say, as a matter of fact, it's going to be extremely, extremely difficult, given the fact that the Iranians do feel that they're in a very, very strong position now in the wake of this war. Whether they're deluding themselves or not, that's the way they feel. And I think, as we saw in the memorandum of understanding, they intend to drive a extremely, extremely high bargain. So whether they're maximalist demands and positions on Hormuz, on various elements of their nuclear program, on a refusal to deal with their missile program and their support of terrorist proxy armies across the region, whether that can meet any kind of minimal threshold for the United States and what we need to advance our interests and the president needs in order to be able to argue that he's achieved a good deal here, a deal that is better than what President Obama achieved in 2015, is a very, very open question and is certainly not going to get resolved in the next 60 days. It's a long-term proposition. And all the while, the chances for miscalculation are very high around Hormuz, around the Lebanon conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. And there's always a chance that the Iranians will push too hard, be too demanding. And at some point in time, the president may feel he needs to return to a more kinetic kind of operation.
And right now, I want to pop this up on your screen. There's not really any audio, and you can't see him right now, but we had Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, who was at this event speaking Hebrew, but it's over in Jerusalem, no English translation. However, you can see large crowds that have gathered here for this opening, and not really seeing Netanyahu anymore in this image. We might see him a little bit later, but there we go. And my question for you relates to Netanyahu's upcoming trip to the U.S. There's been no official date that's been set, but we know that Netanyahu has confirmed, as well as President Trump confirming, that the two are going to meet in D.C. What would be a successful meeting? Obviously, there's a lot to talk about, specifically when you talk about the situation between the U.S. and Iran, and really Israel not having any sort of, I would say, part in those talks.
Yeah, the prime minister and the Israelis are obviously in a difficult position, having fought as full partners in this war. Operationally, their Air Force and other forces did an incredible job as a partner alongside the United States military. And now they're obviously...
Yeah, thank you for the gifts, my friend. Thank you. Good to see you. Happy 4th.
On the outside looking in, trying to impact these negotiations going forward. There's no secret that they were concerned about the memorandum of understanding and what was contained in it, and to the extent it seemed to be negotiated largely on Iranian terms. So they're looking forward. They want to obviously impact anything that happens in these final nuclear negotiations. I'll think the prime minister will want to come to a common understanding with the president about what our red lines are in these nuclear negotiations. And then separately from that, of most immediate, imminent, urgent concern to the Israelis is to reach a common understanding on the fighting in Lebanon, what Israel will be able to do to maintain its freedom of action when its forces and its populations in northern Israel come under attack from Hezbollah. The Iranians, obviously, through the memorandum of understanding, are going to press very hard for Israeli forces not only to cease all fire, even when provoked by Hezbollah, but to actually withdraw entirely from Lebanon before we have an understanding of what's going to happen with Hezbollah's arms. Are they going to be disarmed by the Lebanese government and the Lebanese armed forces? The Iranians have one position that they're pushing very, very hard to get the Israelis out of Lebanon and have Hezbollah survive, while obviously Prime Minister Netanyahu wants to be able to ensure that his populations in northern Israel are going to be secure before he pulls out of Lebanon. And I think there's been some uncertainty inside the U.S. government about what exactly our position is on Lebanon, how much we want to allow the Iranians to have some kind of influence and voice inside of Lebanon and what happens there in these negotiations. And so I think the prime minister's got a very urgent interest in order to protect his own people, that he has an understanding with the president about what the Israeli armed forces are going to be able to do inside of Lebanon going forward.
All right, John Hanna, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Obviously, we covered a lot of ground, but anything that we missed, anything that you want to make sure to mention before I let you go?
No, I think we did a good job of covering things, Josh. The one thing I would say is, as tough as it's going to be, I do hope we get to something on these nuclear negotiations, at least the disposition of Iran's highly enriched uranium, which is still there. It still exists. There's a chance the Iranians could get access to that material and somewhere secretly in a fairly small room have enough capability left to turn that into a material for a nuclear weapon. They've certainly got added incentive now in the wake of this war, having been attacked, not trusting the United States, that they could try and make some secret dash to the bomb. And I do think it's important that we continue to push, at least for that part of their program, that we get not only eyes on it through international inspectors, but that we secure that material and hopefully get it out of the country. So, and really remove that threat that continues to hang over the world.
All right, John Hanna, thank you so much, with JINSA, of course, and former National Security Advisor for Vice President Dick Cheney. Thank you again for being here with us and helping to break it down. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Josh. Good day.
That is a really good documentary. I have to play it for you one day. That's coming up. Alyssa is feisty, Doc. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Thank you guys for being members. Thank you, Ann and Claude, for your donations. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for this cash apps. I got you. I'm praying for this country. I am praying for you guys. Tore up the chat. Can y'all hear me? It was a really big deal. America's 250th birthday. Happy 4th. We went out and hung out at the JW Marriott, watched the fireworks. We went to Tommy Bahamas. We had a really good day. We celebrated hard. And now I must go sleep. Epstein is not even the subject, JR. I can talk about anything. And you guys talk to say, what about Epstein? But when I covered Epstein, where were you? What about Epstein? What about it? We're talking about the 4th and Independence Day and all that good stuff. I'm a vet. I was in the military and I served my country proudly. I did. Are we still friends, you guys? I served my country proudly. Audio is terrible, John Smith. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right, since my audio is terrible, you guys, I will see y'all later. Something's wrong? Okay, I'm going to go to bed. Good night.